Today I'm going to show you how to make jumbo Braille wall art. It's fully customizable using repurposed materials. The surprise tool I'm going to use is a Japanese handsaw. You of course can use a utility knife if you want, but anytime I can find an excuse to use this, it makes for a fun day. So before we get started, I want to give you a tour of my office. So this is my desk and the giant blank wall space that's soon going to have some kind of inspiring Braille art. To the left of it is a bowling pin that I cut in half using a vertical bandsaw, and then underneath it in Braille it says red, and I made the Braille using furniture nails. So that was part of a larger series that I made where I assigned color to texture. To the right of the desk is a 6-month calendar because I'm optimistic about 2021, and all of the green post-its, those are going to be new videos I post to YouTube every week. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do so. Then I have a thermoform machine, which is a machine, this one's probably from like the 80s. It's a vacuum form machine for making raised pictures. Above that is a sculpture that I absolutely love. That was a happy accident. That was also super toxic to make, so I will not be making another one. But it is a Braille book. The spine is just barely visible on the right, and in person you can just barely make out the Braille. So it foamed, the plastic I chose reacted. Would have realized this had I actually read the directions, but I didn't. You'll notice that's a theme. I just get a little excited and just jump in there and start making art. So it foamed up, it off-gassed, it was all sorts of bad, but it's beautiful. The flip side of the room, we have a giant Jackson Pollock inspired painting that I made, because I like to make things super precise. I also like to just kind of go crazy. And then there's a dresser with a lamp made out of an abacus. That was a gift to myself for becoming a certified Braille transcriber. And then on my desk, my art desk, I have a painting, and this is what we're going to be working on today. I went to the thrift store and I picked this up because this frame is in amazing shape. It's absolutely stunning. My guess it's like 30 by 30. I actually haven't measured it yet. But I like going to thrift stores for frames because if you bought this at a frame shop, it would be hundreds of dollars, whereas I only paid $16. Then I went to a craft store and I picked up 1-inch round styrofoam balls, which again, I'm rather shocked I bought something that's so, it's gonna take 400 years to biodegrade, but it's going to be beautiful. I couldn't think of what else to use, but we're gonna cut those styrofoam balls in half, and then we're gonna write an inspirational quote inside of this frame. This is the back side of the picture. It still has the paper on there. It has the wire for hanging it. So I'm gonna take all of that off. I got really lucky, and this picture actually doesn't have any glass, so I don't have to worry about how I want to recycle that. So I removed the paper and the hanger from the back of the painting, which is always exciting, opening something up, because you never know what you're gonna find. $1 million, a letter. In this case, unfortunately, I found a ton of staples. Like probably 3 times as many as this painting needed. So what I'm gonna do is put a towel on the ground, put the painting on top of that because I want to protect the frame from getting scratched, and rip out all those staples. So the staples are actually pretty brittle, so they keep snapping off. Oh, that one didn't. That's nice. But I went ahead and counted them because I was just kind of in awe that there were so many. There are the same number of staples as switchbacks on the Snow Creek Trail that goes from Mirror Lake in Yosemite Park up the cliff to the top of Snow Creek Falls, which is, probably don't want to know this either, because it'll be demoralizing if you ever hike that trail. It is definitely considered the hardest hike outside of the valley. It's about 3,000 feet of elevation, and it is 107 switchbacks. And that is how many staples I am pulling out right now. So if I sound a little muffled, that's because I'm wearing a dust mask, because I don't want to be breathing in the styrofoam. I bought 1.4-inch diameter styrofoam balls, and thankfully there's actually a line that goes all the way around the middle. So I'll just cut on a circumference line. And to cut them, I'm going to use a Japanese handsaw. You can get it at a hardware store for about $20. And I like it because it cuts on the draw as I pull it back towards me. So it actually takes a lot less force to make a clean cut. So I intentionally left my feet in this shot just for scale. The picture's 30 inches wide by 28 tall. I've cut all the spheres in half and I laid out the dots because I wanted to see how big of a slogan I could put on here. Right now it says, "She's crazy girl," with an exclamation mark, because I'm feeling a little crazy about this art project. I'm liking the way it looks. I also can't believe I'm using Styrofoam. So I also really like this frame. It is super pretty. It's gold with some like swoopy kind of texture. So the next thing for me to do is to figure out the math, because I want to get the Braille dots spaced nicely. So I was doing some research online to find out what else could I use instead of Styrofoam in the future. And I discovered that you can buy wooden balls. They're also hemispheres, so they're already cut in half for you. And they also have metal hemispheres. And they come in silver, gold, copper, brass, steel, kind of whatever your budget is. So that got me thinking, I really want to spray paint my Styrofoam Braille gold. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So things are coming along. I'm laying out the Braille dots into a grid. It's using painter's tape as a guide, and I've got a yardstick and pencil, and I'm marking things out to be a little more precise. And I also made a template. I cut out the window of where I want the Braille to fit, and then I also made another piece of paper to go in between each Braille cell to get the correct spacing. So I bet you're wondering, where did I get this lovely cream-colored board that fits perfectly inside this frame? Well, let me show you. Do you remember the painting that came with this picture? There we go. I got really lucky, and that foamcore board was in really nice shape, and the color actually matches the frame. So I just flipped the whole picture backwards and glued the Braille on the back. And I was even able to reuse the hardware that came with it. So it's got a wire with a couple hooks on the end. I did move the holes originally. It was hung upside down the other way, but the screw holes were loose. So I just measured a third of the way down and then screwed them in. And typically I like the wire to be nice and taut, but this one's got a little slack, but it's, it's good. It held it before, it held it again. And I don't own a stapler for fitting art back into a frame, so I just use hot glue. It's not the most professional looking, but it's gonna hold because there's no glass. The whole picture's really light. So I see your 107 staples and I raise you hot glue. I finished gluing the Braille dots onto the board, and it says, "Choose to be happy." I glued them on using rubber cement because in case I made a mistake, I want to be able to fix it. And then something I wanted to show you, just because things can tend to look perfect on film, and that is absolutely not the case. Up here in the top left corner, there are 3 little holes. Those are from stray staples that had gone through this board in its previous incarnation. And also, just this backing board isn't totally perfect. My painter's tape lifted up part of this board, even though I had originally stuck the painter's tape to the rug just to get rid of the tackiness on that blue tape, but I should have done that a couple more times. So, overall, this is going to be some cool looking office art, and that's what I'm going for. And I'm just trying to avoid perfection, because if that was the case, it still wouldn't be done. So I finished installing the Jumbo Braille art project. Now I really like it because it's just fun and classy looking. It fit in my price range, which is $34, and it gave me an excuse to play with my Japanese handsaw. So if you enjoyed watching this Braille tutorial, please hit the subscribe button. There'll be more videos coming your way. See you next time.